It's unmuted, guys.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I can't eat it.
Oh. Yeah, totally.
Well, you can't.
Do you guys want to hear me on something to do with eating this
But then
thing?
you might have. Can't get promote George Washington, you know, wooden teeth. You know,
Don't
might
worry,
not be good.
made of strong stuff. Working, guys.
Birthday.
They stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
Public comment. The school board endorses the concept that every community participating in the affairs of the school is essential to improve the quality of education for its students. To be eligible to address the board, and an individual should reside within the school unit, be an employee of the school unit, or be invited to the board or superintendent to speak. The board shall give due attention to comments and contributions from the audience, but shall not be expected to respond or take immediate action immediately. Audience inquiries other than simple questions shall be referred to the superintendent, who shall investigate or consider the matter and report to the citizen and to the board. If the board action is indicated, the item may be included in an agenda for a subsequent meeting. Comments will be heard for no longer than 3 minutes per person. Anyone have a comment? Public, anyone? I don't see any hands. All right. We'll move along then. Well,
Thank you.
approval of minutes, can I have a motion?
Let me make a motion to approve the minutes of the school board meeting, April 9th, 2025, barring any errors or issues.
Any discussion? We'll see. All in favor? Motion to direct the superintendent.
You want? Motion to direct the superintendent of schools to authorize payment by the town treasurer to each party listed herein and some against each name contained in the following school payroll warrants. April 24th, 2025, PR 25-22 in the amount of $133,703.36. PR 25-20D, $73,993.59. Main PERS 25-26, $8,525.96. Main PERS 25-27, $35,594.64. Main PERS 25-28, $228.99. May 8th, 2025, PR 25-23, $162,825.99. PR 25-23D, $80,153.45. Second.
Any discussion?
I love doing the payroll warrants. It's been a while. It's been a few months.
Any discussion?
Who seconded that? I did. Okay.
All in favor? Payable warrants?
I'd like to make, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tony. To direct the schools to authorize payment by the town treasurer to each party listed herein, the sum set against each name contained in the following school payable warrant. April 24th, 2025. April AP 25-32, $23,767.16. AP 25-33, $132,062.51. SA 25-28, $8,123.85. May 8th, 2025. AP 25-34, $106,165.97. SA 25-29, $2,224.08.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? First reading new policy. Okay.
I move to approve the first reading of the following new policies. GBM, employee references. GCFA, employee social media privacy.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a comment that we did have a policy meeting with Julie and Kevin. And so all of the things in the next three motions were all discussed and vetted through that system. And as usual, we look at things like what the labor laws are recommending, what Main School Management recommends, and then aligning that with the thinking of our system.
And when possible.
Yeah.
If a policy isn't appropriate anymore, we'll recommend to delete it.
Right.
I think that's some of those.
There are.
Any other discussion? All in favor? First reading of the revised policies.
Thank you.
No, you wouldn't. I can do it, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the following revised policies: GBN Family and Medical Leave, PBO Family Care Leave, GCF Professional Staff Hiring, formerly named Selection of Teaching Personnel, JJIF Management of Concussion and Other Head Injuries, JFCK-R Rules for Student Use of Privately Owned Electronic Devices at School.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to delete the following policies. CBGA confidentiality of the hiring process. GBN-R1 Family and Medical Leave Act FMLA Administrative Procedure. GBN-R2 Main Family Medical Leave Administrative Procedure. GCBB Insurance Payable of Teachers and Secretaries. GCBVA MEA Disability Insurance Program. And sometimes even if the policy is appropriate, it's covered in another policy. So these have all been gone over by the superintendent and by Julie and myself.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? See, the board will approve the superintendent's nomination
Yeah.
and so on, need a motion.
Motion to approve the superintendent's nomination of the following second-year probationary teachers. Sarah Eastman, speech, Angela Jackson, middle school science, Anthony Moffett, special ed, Mercedes Personnowski, high school math, Kristen Stanley, occupational therapist, Melanie Thibodeau, grade 5. Oh, should I do the next?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
Ken.
Because we don't have a vote.
That's right. It's just an announcement.
To approve the superintendent's nomination of the following continuing contract teachers.
Excuse
Julie-
me, Mrs. Ling. It should be a vote. It was left off there.
It was left off,
Oh.
okay?
Okay, on the first one, I'll second the motion.
Okay, hold on, so Julie.
So Julie is one.
I motion, yeah,
Okay.
and I'll finish reading the second one, I guess,
Olivia second.
since I was off to the races.
Okay, let's vote on that first one, all in favor?
Is that something we've always done, or was it used just your announcer? I
Well,
thought it was announcement.
I was gonna say I'm a little confused too. Kama, can you answer Kevin's question? That would be a no.
I think we'll vote on it.
Negative.
Well, we must have voted because she interrupted us. We must have-
Sorry, I couldn't get it onto my computer. What was the question?
The question would be, I thought we just announced who they were, just like we do with coaches and stuff like that, that we don't.
Yeah. No, these are nominations of second-year probationary and continuing contracts, so they do need to be voted on.
We voted, did we vote?
Yep, we voted on that one, you want to do?
So now 12.
Sure. To approve the superintendent's nomination of the following continuing contract teachers: Julie Hale, title teacher, Tara McDulphy, middle school English, Susan Morrison, special ed, and Katie Pangburn, pre-K.
Second. All in favor? Oh, any discussion? Moving right along. All in favor?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I had it up before.
School representative. Before we get to that, though, we have a for Haley for your support here on the board and our appreciation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can you believe you're graduating?
No.
That makes two of us.
Why don't you remind us what your plans are for fall?
My plan is to attend SMCC in South Portland for, surge.
Surge tech.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Do you have like where you're gonna live?
I think I'm gonna live on campus for the first year and then like work well, try to like manage it and then have an apartment. That way I don't have to pay as much.
Right. Do you know people in the area?
Two of the kids in my grade, Trevor and Bradley, are both going, but that's
Oh,
all I
yeah.
know.
That's all?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a little bit different from Illinois. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Couple students from last year. went.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for your contributions this year.
All right, so school board junior representative, Madison Carr.
The junior class had a successful bottle drive on April 26th. Prom 2025 tickets are now on sale. Our theme is Great Gatsby. The softball team helped the recreational department with their annual Easter egg hunt on April 7th.
Thank you. And the senior student representative, Haley Aldridge.
The girls softball team started their season and we won both of our first season games. And we also played yesterday down in Greenville and we also won both of those games. And Nice Edge Brewery is having a tea night every Thursday through the month of May where kids can go to play games, eat, and have places to gather. And lots of kids went, I heard from lots of kids that went last time that it was a lot of fun. And they're going this Thursday as well.
I saw some folks that had been up there that night that showed the kids up there and that's
I saw some pictures too. It was
good to
wonderful.
see it, yeah, for sure.
Did either of you ladies go?
I went.
You
It
went?
was fun.
It was, yeah, good.
Did anybody
Did you go,
else I
Haley?
know about?
Mhm.
No.
Okay, administrative program report. Dr. Jane, you're first.
So as I had put in my board report, May, it's like a flurry of activities of how many meetings can we cram into one day and everything. So that is something that I do not generally hold any IEP meetings in June, because then that gives the teachers time to actually do all their paperwork, get everything done. When I came, I think when I actually started, there was still 47, I think, pieces of paperwork that hadn't been processed from the year before. So it was like all summer trying to get that, and at the beginning of the school year, trying to do it. So with that, this will kind of end the year, everything will be sent out, everything will be processed, then next year, everything will start right fresh again. So I'm super excited about that. And Michelle has been amazing. So we've also changed like the whole philosophy that parents used to be able to just call and say, let's just reschedule it. And then we were noticing like there's IEPs that have expired like 3 years or 3 months. So we're like, we need to hold the meeting, like do everything to try to get them there, seeing if they'll come, you know, via phone. We do Zoom meetings all the time. So we've really tried to cut back on, I would say, just that precedent that's been set, that they can just reschedule it like 10 times. Because then that's time that I could have been meeting with another student's parent, and then that day we lost a slot, like to have more meetings. So anyway, so that's been really great, to be able to do that. Other than that, just some, different highlights that I wanted to touch upon. One is not in here because I don't think I knew it when I wrote the report. I met with the DOE last week because I'm getting monitored in my other 2 districts, and they are monitoring us next year. So I'm really excited. They're excited to come because everything that they've monitored, like so far that I've done there this year, we're closing the cap out early. So it should be an easy process, for everybody to come in and just see how the monitoring and all of that. So I'll keep you all up to date when they're coming, all the visits and everything with that, but that's coming in next year. And, I was hoping, just kind of like federal funding front, that I would know more as far as when we're getting our, allotments for our local entitlement, which is our IDEA funds, federally. Last meeting that we had, the state of Maine still hasn't received any preliminaries of what they'll actually get to then give up our amounts. But with that, we were supposed to have a meeting, Thursday, and it has now been canceled. So I don't think I'm going to have any updates, and that was the last meeting of the whole year with the state as far as director. So I don't really know more as far as when, but I know that's a question kind of on everybody's minds. So, only one thing on the highlights, the C, it's like CSTAG, we call it CSTAG. And I think more will be coming at some point. That stands for Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines. And it's a new process that, we're going through, and why I put it in my report is that I would say through this process, whether it's like students with disabilities or not, but students that have had disabilities, it's really come in with writing behavior plans that are very specific, safety plans. So we're starting to address a lot of safety concerns, within the schools by following this process, which was new. We just ended up, Nick couldn't finish his training just because of, some things that were going on within district that day. But everybody else that's on the teams, both buildings have teams, and training has been completed, and it's actually really up and running, but it's assisting our special ed students, already, so. And I think we'll talk more about what the process is, like I'll do something at a different time.
Rotation for the reviews now, because when I got here 2.5 years ago, we were finishing up a review, so this would be like 3 years?
It's tiered now,
Oh,
so it used to be like every so many years, it's how you were rotated, but now you're put on a tier. So if you don't do well in the review before, you're reviewed sooner. So it now, they'll tell you when they come, what tier they're placing you on, as far as like need. And if you're on tier 4, is the lowest, I guess you would say, and they come back in like 2 years to do it again. And you have 4 site visits from them throughout that first year until you close the cap. It is very extensive, so if you do not do well on the review now, you have a lot of hoops that you're jumping through that first year until you close your cap, and then also like subsequent years.
but we did well. We had some additional training to do. When I first started, we did some additional training. And then we got our letter that closed us out. So I guess I was just kind of surprised. What's the longest distance in time?
I
Like-
think it is 4 or 5, but I'd have to look.
We felt kind of
Because
in the
they
middle.
just changed, but they just changed over to that. So
Oh,
it could have
oh.
been like as they went back, then they
Okay.
reviewed when do they think that they need to be. And it also, it isn't like how quickly you close the cap out, but it's how many indicators that you had on it. So, which can range anywhere, like I've been in districts that we've had 2, like, so it didn't take very long to close that out. And then I've been in districts that have had 49. So there's a lot of indicators that you can, and each indicator to close out, now it's called child specific. So with this process of being tiered, you have to show evidence you've changed those child's programs, plus then you have to show evidence they just come in and start yanking files, and you have to show you're doing that for other students. That is a random pick that they can then say that you're actually doing it for those students as well. So it's pretty extensive when you meet with them, but it's a good process. So like I said, I'm excited to have the process, because if I'm not doing something, frankly, I want to know. So I like having them come in and give me feedback on how I'm doing for compliance, so.
Thank you.
That was yourself, facilities director, William Federico.
We didn't really submit a formal report because the last month's been pretty busy, just doing the normal things we do. Cleaning up after the winter, changing over all of our equipment, sweeping all the parking lots. We're still working on the lab. Actually started doing a little mowing out on the field, which is shocking. That's all looking good. We got a new sign hung on the baseball field. And currently accepting our bids for our roof project over here, so we have a lot of interest in that as well, so I'm meeting with contractors. Other than that, it's the day-to-day of what we do, and we will be topping off the tanks. Hopefully in the next few weeks, it's actually been a cold spring, so we have burned some fuel, so. But we're looking good to close out the school year and cruise into summer and ramp back up again and get all that work done. So, questions?
Thank you. Food service coordinator, Mia? Okay.
In the month of April, our food services team served 4,655 breakfasts and 5,029 lunches. I'm always kind of blown away by the end of the month numbers, because day to day, you just kind of get through and ta-da, look what we've done. It's always kind of amazing. Last Friday was School Lunch Hero Day. All of our staff were celebrated, especially by the students. They really took some time to acknowledge our staff, which is wonderful. It's always a little extra special at Granite State, little extra hugs, the hearts when they walk by. Lots of wonderful colored pages, notes and poems and cards. I know this week is Staff Appreciation Day, but it's always nice to give a little additional shout out whenever you possibly can. I've accepted a seat on the Full Plates, Full Potential Child Nutrition Program Advisory Group. Full Plates, Full Potential is an anti-hunger advocacy group that really focuses its attention on Maine children and families. So we'll be working with other food services coordinators, directors, and administration to really make sure that Full Plates can best meet the needs of not only school nutrition programs, but primarily the children of our communities. So that's really exciting. The service dates for summer food service program will be from June 23rd to August 15. So we are bumping it out a week after school gets out and then a week before. Last year, we went back to back on both sides, and it really was a lot for the staff to not have that transition time. The feeling of not having any summer, it's always a great feeling. So we decided to do that. And we also applying for a grant with Full Plates, Full Potential to hopefully get some picnic tables and umbrellas to put outside of our rec areas. So there's more designating seating that's not really in the pool area. And lastly, we've developed a recipe development team through the HMI grant. So they get together every day, it's like an hour and a half every single day. They're pouring over our new child nutrition software, updating all the nutrition facts. Vendors change over time, but especially after COVID, almost all of the products are totally new. So wading through 15 years of back documentations of products, we're really trying to streamline everything that we have already, just so things are, really accurate. That's about it. So any other questions?
I have one.
Sure.
I think that the federal government had stopped payment to the children's meals. Is it money that we haven't got from the state because they didn't get it, or anything
So
like that?
child nutrition programs directly have not been affected by
Okay.
funding at all.
Okay,
The child nutrition staff at the MDOE, their pay was interrupted and the state did take over their pay.
okay,
But they did just sent out a notice, I think it was yesterday.
Resolved.
What's that? Yes, for this moment, now it's fairly well resolved.
Yeah.
So we still are waiting the outcome of like the reconciliation situation. But that's just a plan for the best. Just hope it all works out and keep all the things crossed. In summer food service, we'll have 4 primary sites, 3 summer schools, and then 2 additional like community programs that we serve. So it should be right around the same kind of output that we did last year, which is really fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which are not able to be here tonight.
Oh, that's me.
Jan actually mentioned it earlier, but May is a whirlwind. There's so much going on. Here at Stearns, we're wrapping up the NWA testing. We have the 3-year done. We're doing makeups this week as we speak, and we'll be done that. The girls also mentioned Nice Edge. They reached out to me a couple weeks ago and asked if that would be a good idea, and it's an amazing thing for our students, and the kids really responded well. The ones I talked to had a wonderful time. A really great thing. Like Louis said, the fields are looking good. Baseball and softball are in full swing. The town of Millinocket graciously bought us some mats to cover our pitcher's mound and our batter's boxes to keep the rain off them, which was wonderful. It's helped us a lot, and with the weather this week, that's probably gonna come into use. So we appreciate that. I saw Peter today and thanked him for those. That was a really nice gesture for them. And we're looking forward. We got graduation coming up. We, Beth and I and Sue Buzzell have taken it upon ourselves to try to get the honors banquet back. We lost that with COVID, and we decided that's something that we want to get back for our students. So we're in the process of organizing that and bringing that back to an in-person event so that the families and seniors can celebrate that as well. And besides that, we're just trying to get through the last 4.5, 5 weeks
Hold your breath.
and hold our breath
Yeah.
and plan for next year and trying to set some things into place for September when we come back. But like I said, we got a lot going on, but we always get through this month of May. It seems like a whirlwind, but everything's going well and we're just grinding and getting through to the end of the year. Any questions from anyone?
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. No problem at all.
And the principal.
Thank you. So I have some recognition that I wanted to make sure, I said during the board meeting. So we have 2 8th graders, Maggie Nobles and Sandy Lavasser. They attended Girls' Day in Augusta on Monday, April 7th. So Mr. Leathers could choose a couple of girls that he thought would really, enjoy going. They participated once per week on Zoom, and then they went down and met with girls, 8th grade girls from all around the state. They were able to argue some legislative bills that are actually in play right now. And so they had a really great time with that. I attached the link if you want to see the news story that Fox News had about that. Kyle Leathers, our middle school social studies teacher, is going to Washington DC this summer in July. He has applied for, has been accepted, and will be attending the White House History Teacher Institute. It is a week-long program. They have 2 sessions in the month of July, and he is attending one. There are only 30 teachers nationwide accepted to this, so I think it's a really big honor for him to have been accepted, and he's really excited about going. He can't wait to have more things to bring back into his classroom. I also had spoken in my report about Knife Edge Brewing. We all just were very touched that they reached out to the school and said, what can we do for kids? Here's our idea, here's our thought, what do you think? And then they had just run with it, and I believe there are 26 kids that attended this past Thursday, and that was the first one. And they've all said great things, so they may be getting larger turnouts as each Thursday goes on. 2 8th graders, that entered the Maine Water Environment Association poster contest for Why Water is Worth It to Me. We actually had 2 winners from Stearns. So Olivia DeSennes was the first place winner. She won a $100 gift card and a calendar. And Margaret or Maggie Nobles was the runner-up and she won a calendar. So that's pretty awesome. So we have decided to reinstate the senior honors banquet, as Mr. Cullen mentioned. We've been talking about it and we just kind of decided, let's do this. So it's a month from now. You are all being officially invited. It is after the school board meeting on June 3rd at 6 o'clock. And their parents will start receiving their invitations for their honors students at the first of next week. Those letters will go out. It'll be held at the Elks. The Elks is generously donating their facility. It will be catered. The school, as per usual, will pay for the honors students' meals, but we'll need an RSVP by May 23rd because we have to give that head count to the caterer. The caterer will be serving desserts, obviously, that's the most important thing to me. But also lasagna, breadsticks, and all of that. So we're really excited to bring this back. It's another way to honor those students who have worked so hard and celebrate the good things. So
Beth, would it be possible to get an email as a school board member to remind us when it's?
you bet,
Thank you.
I sure can do that.
Especially when you honor the kids like that.
It is. So we'd love to have you all there. If you're able to be there, please come and join us. Oh, and because we are hosting this at the Elks, we have a little more room. In the past, it was limited to 2 people per student that a student could bring because of space, because of availability. So this year they'll be able to bring 4 if they so choose. So we pay for the students and then parents or guardians will pay for the rest of themselves and whoever else is comes. And it's $22 a plate, which is very reasonable when you're talking lasagna and breadsticks and desserts and all of that, so. And then a reminder that our career fair will be held on May 13th, and that runs from 8 to 1. So if you have any time or any availability, please stop by. It's a great turnout. We have 4 high schools coming. We have Lincoln, we have Mad Norfolk Academy in Lincoln, we have Skank High School, we have Lee Academy, and we have Katahdin coming. We also have the Medway Middle School 8th grade is coming. So our 8th grade will also attend with Mr. Leathers. And finally, as you all know, shortly before vacation, our community experienced the loss of our student, Hayden Cormier. So our heartfelt condolences go out to his family. His passing has also profoundly affected his friends and the school community. He was always surrounded by friends. He was a good student with an infectious smile, and he is missed. Following closely, and I mean very closely, within a very short period of time of word getting out, we had an outpouring of support from the area. So I just wanted to take this time to thank some people. I want to thank Mr. Cullen. He handled everything. He was very compassionate and a steady presence for everyone, staff and students. Sue Buzzle, who always supports our students with kindness and warmth. Our staff as a whole, they stepped up and they cared for our students, even though they themselves were grieving. Margot Stevens, who is one of our former staff members, came and lent her support in her presence. Alyssa Dickinson, superintendent and principal of Medway Middle School, she offered to come up and help and do anything we needed, whether that was answering phones, or helping us organize something, whatever we needed. Justin Page, principal at Skank High School, he offered any additional support he could supply. Casey McGlowin, she's the student support coordinator at Medway Middle School. She just showed up and said, let me help. Alana Legassi, she's the guidance counselor at Skank High School. She also just arrived and said, let us help with guidance. Jen Durgan, our Gear Up School specialist. Sue Buzzell called her that morning and said, we've had a tragedy, and, you know, Jen was due to come up and meet with students about college and other things. So she said, I don't think you'll be able to meet with students today. And Jen said, I'm on my way. Aubrey Howard, also from Gear Up, she's the family engagement coordinator, and she offered to come up to Stearns from Southern Maine for anything that we needed, including additional counseling support, because she is a counselor. And she has extended that offer for if we need her at any time. And then there are just too many others to name from surrounding areas, former employees and other school districts who reached out with kind words, sympathy, and support. So, you know, throughout this difficult process, all of this that I just said is a benefit to being in a small community.
Any questions for Ms. Boomer? Thank you. Superintendent report.
Ms. Casey?
I can't top that.
No. Do you have some budget information?
I do.
Okay.
We'll do numbers now. So we ended the month of April. Glasses on. We have 25% remaining of our expenditures, so we spent 75% of our budget. And we collected 82.5% of our revenue, so we still have a little more revenue to go. And the month of May is open enrollment for health insurance, if anybody wants to enroll in health insurance, that's qualified to enroll in health insurance. And that's it.
And I just have a couple of things. There's been a lot of information shared. I encourage you to read the parts of the report that weren't discussed tonight, because as always, people put in a lot of things for you to look at, and if you have questions or thoughts after, please reach out to them. So the big thing I guess I wanted to mention was the budget adoption. As you know, it's really quite a process. We start in December-ish at the department level and then kind of work our way through it. You folks have a couple of budget workshops. We do a vote and a presentation to the town. So the town adoption was on the 24th. And I just wanted to be appreciative to the fact that the town council was really receptive to what we had to share. I feel like our board has supported the council, and I feel like the council has supported our board, which I'm grateful for, because both represent our school. They represent the students' programs, they represent the employees who work here. So it was a good experience, and I appreciate everybody's participation in that. I went to a region meeting. In the conversation, there's a law that now says that students' time at region is eligible for credits. And it's always been eligible for credits to a certain degree, but it has been considered elective credits. But the new law says that each core program at region, no matter if it's region 2 or 3 or what have you, need to decide if their content supports core credits. So if their content of welding or of food service or of the medical programs, if they cover anything that's in English or in history or in math, the teachers have been working on alignment to see what are the standards that are taught, what amount of credit is applicable for each of those programs. And they made like a diagram, a graph to show that maybe for instance, welding might have a lot of like measuring, so maybe there's a quarter credit of a math. And if you do 2 years of that, maybe that equals a half credit of math towards your graduation standards. So that's, it has come about by a law, but it's exciting. Is it exciting, Rachel? It's exciting. Because the programs that are at Region, as Rachel can testify to, and Donnie, they really do support student growth towards a career. It could be, they're ready for the workforce when they graduate from high school if they've completed some of these programs at Region. So sometimes it's a real challenge to have kids go to Region, put in the time that they need to there, and then get core classes here, because sometimes they have other jobs. Sometimes they want to participate in extracurricular activities, and so it's a little bit of a push. It might also be a little bit of a challenge, like maybe they're not a great math student, but maybe they know all the math there is to know if they're in the CNA program. All of the calculations they have to do for that, they're able to manage. So that said, it's happening statewide, and in Region 3, their graph is I would say that Kurt said it is kind of like cautious. So there's not as many boxes ticked in the Region 3 graph as there are in the Region 2. So we'll kind of see how that works out. So Kurt is saying we don't want to overcommit that we're covering this. And Region 2 is saying, we think we've got these covered. So we'll give everybody a year and kind of see where that plays out. And that would make sense. I'm sure that's happening in all of the region schools. So that's a good thing.
Who decides what's applicable for grading?
For grading,
For
awarding credit.
awarding credits.
The region teachers all got together and had meetings to talk about what is in there. I'm looking at you in case yours was different. And to see what's in their content that they teach. And then there was some alignment with what their standards are that Maine requires. Yeah. So that's a great question. A little bit of the hard sell that the region representatives are experiencing are, what will the regular ed teachers feel in our school? So, here in Katahdin is where I'm working. And there's a little bit of like, well, I'm the math teacher, I know what the core is. Or I'm the English teacher, I know what the core is. So I think there'll be some relationship building. There probably, we may see the graphs change a little bit, but the standards are out there. So it's just how they're. One of the things I've heard is, well, do you really have to read Shakespeare to graduate? Well, the opinions will vary on that, but in addition to that, there's more than reading a manual. So like, we have to take those two diverse thinkings and somewhere hit what it is that students need to be able to analyze, need to be able to, remember or apply, and is that gonna come from Shakespeare or is that gonna come from a manual? Does that describe it the way you would think? Okay. CSTAD training, I was going to mention, but you've already heard about that a little bit. I wanted to mention vacation week, April vacation, although it seems like a long time ago. Was a good break for everybody. I think that most of the staff that I have checked in with, like, really did take it as a breather. A few people went a few places, other people, did some staycation type things, hoped for some sunny weather, but it's now time to slide into home plate. Like, I know it's kind of like a silly saying, but we really hit the end hard. There's so much going on. So there's a lot of activities that you can participate in. I wanted to thank Kama for single-handedly doing some transforming in our central office. She did some painting. It's a modern color. It's nice and clean. 2 colors underneath that cabinet are orange. She tells me there was a time when orange and blue worked here at Stern. No, but it looks really good. Some federal level conversation. Mia addressed a little bit of it. There really is, there is a lot happening. but there's also a lot settling. So a month ago, we were getting information regularly from the DOE, like practically daily, on different topics, as there was some look at what was happening with the US DOE. Well, it kind of came down to the US DOE is doing a lot of changing, but there's kind of a stay on most of our state departments of ed, which is good, because there was beginning to be a lot of uncomfortable feelings from people on, well, do we do this? Do we plan on that? And I can't tell you, I can sit here and say, we know what we're getting for funding, or we know how some of this is going to land, but the dust has definitely settled a little bit, so it doesn't have to be our primary topic. We're not told that there's anything that we should be of great concern about at this time, where last month we were talking about some things that
Yeah.
concerned us. So for now, it feels like on the federal level, it's calmed down a little bit. I still hold to a month ago, I had mentioned to you that we're told to do our planning, to pass our budgets and to think ahead. But if there's gonna be a change, it's gonna be something that's gonna happen in July with funding change in October. So I'm still keeping my eye to anything that we might need to address by July in order for funding to do something in October. So those timelines have stayed the same, there just isn't more information to share.
Shelley, have the students that are going to school done their FAFSA, or has that changed at all?
That is, it's, as for now, it hasn't changed.
Okay.
Those things are still happening. Mrs. Buzzell is still having those
Good
meetings.
enough.
So that's the federal, staff appreciation has also been mentioned a little bit tonight. Both schools have a variety of things happening, from small gifts like you have, thank you for your service to the school. Are put out in each of the, school buildings. There's everything from cookies and snacks to, gifts or tokens like you have here. Policy committee, we did meet, and you've seen some of that in the meeting tonight. Technology committee, we met there as well, looking at what we're gonna do for updates, for security, for general cleaning. A lot of those things are happening. And shifting gears a little bit, the state has also, it's legislative time. So there's a lot of things that we've talked about before, like the people's veto. If you've been doing any reading on the people's veto, this all comes down to if there are 67,000 registered voters sign that they want to take another look at the governor's proposed budget. That has to be done by June 18th. It's not impossible. It's difficult, but it's not impossible, and it really hasn't been done very often. If that happens, that will do something with our budget, because that puts the current approved budget on hold. So that is another thing that I'm keeping my eye to. I'll give you more information as we hear about that. Cell phone, policy did pass in the DOE, and what that's going to look like is they've passed it, that they know it's a problem, that they know it's a learning, an emotional, a growth issue. But they're also saying individual school boards need to take a look at that. Your policy committee has input. And so, in my opinion, that's a good thing. They're providing a little bit of the education. They've also provided a little bit of a push for those school systems who may have not taken it quite as seriously. But there is a lot of research out there that says we really need to be taking a peek at that. So that passed. Unfunded balances, I think I mentioned to you before. It used to be 5%. During COVID, it went to 9%. They were talking about it going back, and as of right now, it's gonna stick to 9% because of the fact that because of the funding, I just lost the word, because of the funding uncertainty, they're thinking that the 9% will just help people feel more comfortable. So as of right now, that is where we stand. They also did a passed for superintendent agreements for student transfers. They changed a little bit of the language. I brought this one up today because we do a little bit of that, particularly where our neighbors are fairly close, and sometimes the transfers are for educational programs, but sometimes they're just because of employees, like who lives and works where. So the changes are somewhat minor, talking about if, at the beginning, it used to be fine to transfer the best interest of students. They've crossed out that line. So best interest used to be where we hung our hat. And, now they're not, I'm talking about it that way, that it's more procedural. A parent makes a written written request, to the resident and receiving superintendent at the same time. And then it goes through the process from there. It used to be one superintendent had to respond, now both have to respond. So they've made some changes there, and it does get down to, like it has in the past, that once it goes out of the superintendent's hands with the two districts, that it can go to the commissioner, and if there's not satisfaction there, it can go to the state board. So those procedural things have not changed, but it is something of somewhat interest because we have 5, 6, 7 every year with us. Talked about cell phones. I attended a Drummond Woodsum workshop on April 30th. And that workshop had some really interesting material on leave time. We've sat here before and talked about the fact that when employees are absent from our buildings, whether or not it's in ed techs, teachers, food service, anything, the ripple effect on that isn't, we're not as concerned about the dollar effect, like we're paying somebody who's out, plus we're paying us up. We're more concerned with the fact that a program is impacted, the ability to put food out on time, the ability to support a student who has a learning need or some of those things. Well, it turns out that we're not the only ones who are struggling with these. And I know we've said that before too, but April 30th at this Drummond Woodsum workshop, like it's a thing. There are real struggles across our state, so much so that it has become part of their presentation, part of their work. So they're looking at things like earned paid leave. They're looking at the rules and regulations behind that go around family, medical, FMLA, family paid medical leave. Like they're looking at all of those things because of the impacts on public schools. Because we can't forget that we're given all of those leave times, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have them. I'm just saying that it was a law, it was new. When we have a school system who we have employees who work 178 to 185 days, they don't work the summer, and then you get 5 days off for this, 12 days off for this, 3 days off for this. When we add up all of those things, we're just finding such an impact on our public school programs. So I'm just bringing that to your attention because it is something that I think they're going to continue to look at. I think you're going to find that they're going to make some recommendations. It would have, of course, have to go through legislation, but I would predict that there might be some change because of an unintended impact on public school. And with that, I'm done.
Any questions for Dr. Wynn?
That she's talked too much. or hasn't talked too
Maybe
much?
it's me.
Explained it all. Motion to adjourn.
Upcoming meetings first.
Oh, yes. Upcoming meetings, June 3rd. 2025.
I'll be in Denver, yes, everybody, so I'll be like swooping in via Zoom. I have to go out for a walk, so.
We need a second.
And I need a second.
Oh, second.
Thank you, Julie.
Sorry, you didn't just want to hear about me.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Appreciate your time. And once again.